the show, guys. Joseph Robert Camo, the fantasy football counselor. Got a big episode here today. We are talking about fantasy football 2021 and who is going to be the first overall pick on the board. So I'm up. I get first overall pick in my league. I'm up in the queue in the draft. Who do I select? I'm looking. I get an option of anybody, any player. Who is it going to be? I've got the answer in this episode. I'm going to explain why I came up with this answer. We're going to go over all of the variables, all of the other candidates that could be number one, and I have to award that first overall pick for fantasy football 2021. This is a big episode. There's a lot of pressure going into this episode because it's a big decision if you go first. Now, I personally don't like going first. I kind of like going, if it's a 12-person league, I don't mind going 12th and going back-to-back. It doesn't really matter to me, and that's what 16-round draft solution helps you with. By the way, guys, you got to get it. I'm telling you, get it for the lowest price of the year. Let's plug that first because it's very important. That's going to help you guys crush your leagues and save you a lot of time. 16-round draft solution, the first ever and only video training is going to help you guys crush your leagues. Scrap the draft kits, scrap the cheat sheets. They are dead. It's an old technology. What the mainstream is doing is they're taking last year's top finishers and they're telling you to draft them again in that order. That's not how you're going to dominate your league, guys. We saw it last year. They told you Michael Thomas, first wide receiver off the board, didn't work out, right? They told you Clyde Edwards-Helaire, in the mid-first round. That didn't work out. They told you Kenyon Drake first round. I can keep going. That's not going to help you. 16 rounds will, okay? Get it at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. First ever and only video training. I'll walk you through all the optimal players in each round. Sleepers, breakouts, dynasty, a little bit of auction advice, everything in one spot. Get it, guys, below. I'm super excited. Or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. And again, guys, also manscaped.com. Head on over there, use promo code SHOWERLION, save yourself 20%. Amazing products, fit and finish, Lawnmower 3.0. I've got the Weed Whacker nose trimmer here I use for my nose hairs because you don't want to see that during my shows. You guys are going to be very happy with the product. Great products. Treat yourself. Manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. I've also linked it below here as well. Yeah, by the way, I had to plug those guys because I really believe in giving you guys stuff that I would use and stuff that I would recommend. I don't like you guys getting a draft kit, for example, and, losing and doing what everyone else is doing, the sheep mentality, okay? So let's get to this episode here. So here's what we're going to do here. To determine the first overall pick, we got to lay out the candidates of the first overall pick. But before we even do that, we got to know what position the first overall pick should be. And this is an easy one for me, obviously, and I know it's common sense, but to a lot of people, it's not common sense because they may draft a quarterback first. They may draft a wide receiver, but we got to narrow it down and we got to go with a running back. It's got to be a running back. I'll tell you why. It is the most scarce position in the NFL. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you right now for fantasy, that is. Okay, check this out. There's only 8 running backs that don't really have a committee this year, meaning that they are kind of essentially the workhorse on their team. I'm gonna go over that with you. Okay, Saquon Barkley. He's got Wayne Gallman. I'm not really concerned. Now, this is pre-NFL draft, okay? There's some young rookies coming in to the NFL this season that could come in and maybe be a thorn in the side of these guys, but I'm not really concerned as of right now. This is pre-NFL 2021 draft before the rookies come in, okay? And again, that's why I released my first version of the 16-round draft solution. You can get it now pre-order. There's a first video out there, just an introduction, but that's why I don't release the content till about a week after the actual NFL draft because then the depth charts lay out and then I kind of have a better idea, okay? But there's 8 guys. There's Saquon. He's got Gallman, not really a big concern. Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, we're going to have to see what they do there. CMC, I'm not really concerned. He's going to be the guy there. Cook, Madison, not really a threat. Cook had 312 attempts, okay? So that's what? So we got Saquon, Kamara, CMC, Cook, that's 4. Henry, 5. Darrington Evans, not a threat there. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack is there, but I think JT is going to be the guy. Cam Akers, I think, is going to be the workhorse, and James Robinson. Now, you could say, Zeke as well. So I'm going to say 9 there, okay? Now, there's other guys, right? So that's 9. There is other guys, like I said, Jacobs. You could make an argument, but Drake is going to be a bit of a pest. Nick Chubb, but Kareem Hunt outscored him in PPR last year. And so, again, there's about 8 or 9. So out of those 8 or 9, now we got to break down as to who the first overall pick is. That's what we're going to talk about here, right? Everything is facts. Everything is facts. That's why we go with it. Now, last year, it was between Saquon and CMC. So I want to get the disclaimer out there. CMC was typically 1. I said, he's going to definitely decline. I said, because he had like a 471 point year. It's going to go down. Well, like Joe, well, even if it goes down 30 points, he's still going to be number 1 because he's going to get 420 points. Yes, but he had such a Cinderella year, something was going to bound to go wrong. Now, while I can't predict injuries, I could tell you that he was going to decline, and I could tell you to stay away. So I helped you guys dodge that bullet. Now, I did actually have Saquon Barkley as my first last year. I went with him, so I was kind of wrong there, obviously, but he was number 2 on the consensus anyway. So everybody was either getting CMC or Saquon 1-2, 2-1, 1-2, doesn't matter. So I went with the guy that was due for an upside year. That's what I went with. He was kind of due. Injury happened. So again, 1-2, 2-1, you kind of, you went wrong. That's first overall, okay? And again, a lot of people don't pick first overall, but if you had to, it was between those two last year. Last year's done. Let's focus on this year. So the candidates I believe for this year that could be the first overall pick are Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Derrick Henry. Now, let me make another disclaimer. There could be another guy that could finish first overall amongst running backs in PPR. Cam Akers. Cam Akers could get all the volume, and he's going to be the guy. He could finish. James Robinson. He was an undrafted free agent. Crushed it last year. James Robinson, 1,070 yards, 7 touchdowns, 240 attempts. That can go up. They get Trevor Lawrence. That offense gets a whole boost. He becomes the guy. He gets 20 rushing touchdowns. He becomes the first. We don't know, but you don't have to invest because the ADP is going to allow you to get a James Robinson later, right? A Cam Akers later. Maybe even a Jonathan Taylor later, right? You're able to. Zeke Elliott's not going to be the first overall. So the decision is going to be who's going to grab that first overall pick, right? So, and who's it going to be? It's going to be between Saquon, Kamara, CMC, Henry, and Cook. I've laid it out to those 5 guys. So let's break down those 5 guys because, again, if you go, like I said, if you go 8th, Zeke may fall to you. So you don't have to really invest a first-round pick. Or some of these guys, like if you go first and you go, let's say, CMC, Cam Akers could fall back to you on the second round, right? 24th pick. So you don't necessarily have to invest. You don't have to reach is basically what I'm saying. So it comes down to 5 guys. And again, first of all, we've narrowed it down to running back. Why? Because it's the most scarce position, going back to what I said. Because again, running backs, there's only a handful that have, that committee, right? Like minimal committee. And those are the guys, the 8 or 9 guys. So that's the most scarce position. Tons of wide receiver depth, tons of quarterback depth. I got Josh Allen in the 6th round last year while everybody was getting Lamar Jackson round 2. Okay, so again, I talk about this all in the 16-round draft solution. So again, guys, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Does this make sense? So we've narrowed it down to running back. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Okay, so now that we've got running back, the most scarce position, because again, getting a running back with minimal committee that's going to get 300 attempts is very rare. You want to secure that position fast. So is it Saquon, Kamara, CMC, Madison, Cook, or Henry, not Madison? All right, so let's narrow it down. So I'm going to omit Alvin Kamara simply because he's never finished first overall in fantasy points, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and omit him. So let me pull this up here. Actually, minus last year, so that's a bad example. Alvin Kamara finished last year at first overall. So let me take that back. But what I was trying to say is he won't duplicate that year. So we're going to put Alvin Kamara out because he finished first last year and he won't do it again is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? So Alvin Kamara is out to me. What goes up must come down. Not only that, it's not like, hey, Joe, he finished top last year. He's not going to finish on top. Yes, that's obvious point, right? But the problem is the quarterback situation. So is it going to be either Taysom or Jameis Winston? Who's it going to be? So that's a big question mark to me with Alvin Kamara. 377 points last year. Who's the quarterback? With Breeze gone, that's going to be a problem. Another thing, if you look at his 377.8 points last year, it was inflated because week 16, he had 56 points. He had like 6 touchdowns that game. I don't know what he had, like 6 touchdowns? 56 points. So that inflated his number dramatically, right? And if Taysom gets a start, he's going to be rushing the ball in himself as a quarterback, so it's going to take away from him. Not only that, with Kamara, he only gets about 180 attempts a year. He had 187 attempts last year. I like a big volume getter. I want that guy that's going to have the high ceiling and get a ton of volume. So for those reasons, the fact that he's not going to, even in PPR, it doesn't matter. He's not getting the volume that I want. Breeze is gone. Pinnacle year. Kamara out. Now we're down to Saquon, CMC, Cook, and Henry. Now, you could easily say Cook could be the first overall pick. The problem I have with Cook is he hasn't finished a season. Now, last year, I gave him credit. He had 14 games. He missed a game or so. Not a big deal. Still crushed it last year. Now, again, I look at his 2017 start, 4 games, 2018, 11 games, 2019, 14, and then 14 last year. So he had a couple Cinderella years, missing a couple games. Last year, crushed it, finished second in PPR. Again, he's got all the credentials to be the guy. The problem is, again, this is me, and again, I'm trying to take bias out of it because I've been an anti-Cook guy because of injury. You can give him the credit, but again, 2 Cinderella years, and before that, 2 injury years. What's next? And again, I hate to anticipate, but I try to skate to where the puck's going. I'm not sold on Cook finishing the season again. He hasn't finished the season, even though he had 14 games last year. Again, we get it. But I don't think he's going to finish the season. 312 attempts. He's been worked to the ground. They're going to work him again to the ground again, which is a good thing. But is he going to deliver, and is he going to stay healthy for this season after 2 pretty much Cinderella seasons minus missing a few games? I doubt it. Again, I'm not sold on him. 16 touchdowns last year. Very high number. That's going to come down. I'm not sold on Cook. That's me. You can get him first overall. It's up to you. And I don't blame you because he's a workhorse guy there. And they've got Jefferson to spread the field. So there's a lot of good options, a lot of good reasons, I should say, why Dalvin Cook should be first overall. I personally don't trust he's going to have another year again. I'm going to say decline for Dalvin Cook, okay? And again, you're going to get the emergence of James Robinson, of the Cam Akers, of the Jonathan Taylors, and any other rookies coming in or whatever it may be. But again, for me, Cook is going to be out. So we've narrowed it down now to Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley. Here we go. Now, let's talk about Christian McCaffrey coming off a pinnacle year in 2019, 471 points. And I said a decline was going to happen. Decline happened. He got injured, and he was seen modeling in a bunch of pictures. I don't like that. I don't like the extracurricular activity, but that's besides the fact. What he does on the field is different, and he performs on the field. Obviously not last year because he was injured. The big question mark is right now at the time of this recording, late March, is that Christian McCaffrey, CMC, and the quarterback situation is suspect there. Wide receivers are suspect. I don't know if I trust this offense right now. I don't even know if I trust Carolina. I don't know if I trust CMC coming back healthy, coming off an injury to come and perform on the number one, first overall worthy pick. Coming off an injury. Different offense. Suspect. Who's the quarterback? What's going on with the quarterback situation? Whoever's under gun at quarterback has to build that rapport. Is he going to throw to CMC? Is he going to get the receptions that we need? How's that going to work out? Too many question marks for me to make him worthy of the first overall pick. So CMC is out. So we're narrowing it down. Guys, don't come at me and say, I can't believe you went with that guy first overall. I'm giving you specific reasons on why I'm staying away from all of these players. Why I'm telling you, not staying away from them. Sorry, that's wrong. Why I'm not having them first overall. I'm giving you specific reasons and examples, okay? So CMC is out for me. Cook is out for me. Kamara is out for me. New quarterbacks, new situation, coming off pinnacle years, one guy coming off injury. I've got pretty good reasons. And then there were 2. Henry or Saquon Barkley. Now, if my theory proves true that what goes up must come down, Derrick Henry is due for a decline because he had an amazing season. But I'm a huge Derrick Henry fan and one of the first believers in him before he had that major breakout season a year or 2 ago where I said that he is going to tear it up and the mainstream were off of his train and everyone drafted him because of me and crushed it. 2,027 yards, 17 touchdowns, 378 attempts. I mean, the attempts are just remarkable. That and that reason alone should mean that he's the first overall pick. I love him. I love Derrick Henry, but a slight decline is happening. I hope he stays healthy. He's been durable his whole career, and I'm not saying an injury is going to happen, but, some things are just due. I hope he doesn't get injured. And I definitely, you can't go wrong with Derrick Henry as your first overall pick. You can't, based on statistics. You can't go wrong with any of these guys, really, as your first overall pick. But I'm just trying to give you all of the variables and all of the reasoning on why they may not be the first overall pick and why they could be a second or third pick. And that's okay. But I'm just telling you that these guys, the guys I'm saying, might not be first overall pick. Now, before I go into the first overall pick, so I gave you kind of Derrick Henry, pinnacle of Cinderella season. His only knock to him right now is that he had a pinnacle season and there's a decline. And a possible injury is due. But again, skating to where the puck is going, thinking of hypotheticals, is not enough reason to justify him not being drafted first overall. I get it. Saquon Barkley, though, let's talk about him. All we have to go on really is his rookie year in 2018, where we get a really good sample size of what he could do in a season, and he crushed it, finishing first in fantasy points at 385 points, 261 attempts, 11 touchdowns, and he got 91 receptions for 1,307 yards. Phenomenal. In 2019, 13 games, still finished top 10. Nothing to get excited about, missed a couple games, and we know what happened in 2020, got injured. Okay, it happens. Now, both of these guys are in a situation where they're going to get a ton of volume. The knock to Saquon now is the O-line, that offense. But the bright side of Saquon is this. what goes down must come up. He is due for a bounce back season. That's number one. Number two, Kenny Golladay is there, which means they actually have a true wide receiver one that's going to spread the field and keep defenses busy and distracted, opening things up for Saquon Barkley, who performed where the team didn't have offensive weapons, right? So that's good. So they've got receivers now. I think they're pretty capable there with Slayton and Golladay. Daniel Jones has that rapport with Saquon Barkley. They've been working together, so that's good. Again, another thing with Derrick Henry, that's a plus. He's got the rapport with Tannehill, so that's good. They're in offenses that have gelled before, and they know how it works, right? So when you look at Henry and Saquon, two prime candidates for the first overall pick. So who's it going to be? That's a tough one. I think you're good either way. If I had to choose, and I'm a big Derrick Henry fan. Again, I was the first believer in Derrick Henry. I'm going to gamble, because it's always a gamble, right? Fantasy's a gamble. I'm going to gamble on upside. First overall pick for fantasy football 2021 is Saquon Barkley. Again, for the reasons I stated. And again, predicated they improved their O-line, which I think they will. So improved O-line, rapport with Daniel Jones, due for a bounce back season, Kenny Golladay, talent, youth. There's a ton of reasons, and the proof that we've seen back in 2019. Those reasons, the upside, all those things I stated are the reason why Saquon is first overall. Well, Joe, you told me Saquon Barkley was first overall last year. Yes, I did. But he was second across the board. And again, you couldn't go wrong. See, at least I helped you dodge the Christian McCaffrey bullet. Saquon, it's one of those things, belt and suspenders, right? So it was like, okay, yeah, the belt fell and the suspenders didn't hold either. That's exactly what happened. I had the belt and suspenders on. I helped you dodge the CMC bullet. Okay, cool. Belt. Okay, that didn't work, right? So that's good. I saved you. Suspenders. Nothing held up, right? Either way, everybody had Saquon at 1-2. We get that. But I think Saquon has a bounce back. Let's focus on this year. I think Saquon's going to have a good year. I think he's going to bounce back. I think that offense is going to be better than people think. It's going to be a better division. These teams, after being the worst division last year, I think the Cowboys made some good moves, signing Dak. Hopefully he gets in the groove, right? I think they all have a good year. Now, you could make an argument again for Zeke Elliott. Not first overall. You get him later, but I like him. I think he bounces back as well this year with Dak being back. Again, I think other guys will emerge like James Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. It's going to be Cam Akers. But again, as of right now, it's tough. It's between Derrick Henry and Saquon. I'm gonna lean Saquon Barkley. Okay? So that's it. That's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thumbs up. Love to get your opinion, comments, concerns, complaints, whatever you want. But again, based on all those reasons, upside, youth, hopefully they improve the O-line, rapport with Daniel Jones, Kenny Golladay, amazing talent, proof in 2018. I'm sold on Saquon Barkley being first overall, okay? And again, another thing I want to say, your league should not be predicated on one pick. Okay, you should have a good roster all around. I had Jefferson in the 10th round. He crushed it for me last year. Josh Allen, 6th round. It's not all based on the first overall pick. We're just having some fun here. Okay, but that's the facts. Saquon Barkley is my first overall pick. Let me know you're a first overall pick. Smash thumbs up. Help get the message out there and get 16-round draft solution right now. Link below. Get it, guys. Prices are going up in April. We'll talk soon, guys. I appreciate you being here. Let me know your thoughts and follow on social media for my crazy antics. Talk soon.